Something is running your life right now. It's deciding how much money you make, how much freedom you have, and whether you scale or stay stuck. But most people have no idea it even exists. It's called micro decisions, tiny invisible choices you make on autopilot thousands of times a day. They feel like nothing, but over time, they're actually dictating your life, which is why your calendar is always full, you feel stuck, you're busy but not free. And no, this is not a video about working harder. It's about finding the hidden system running your time, money, and energy. We're gonna flip it to work for you, because the people winning right now, they're not doing more. They're doing less on purpose. Let me give you one example. This is UPS. So UPS, their drivers, they don't turn left. I'm not joking. It's literal company policy. They redesigned their routing software to avoid left turns to save time at lights. And that saved over 10 million gallons of fuel. That cut 100 million miles off driving and added $1 billion to their bottom line. One micro decision multiplied thousands of times. So where is your $1 billion decision? Let's break this down. Chapter 1, what are the micro decisions? Why should you care? Imagine your life as an airport. You've got somewhere important to be. Freedom, money, time back, whatever your destination is. Now look down. Some of the floors are moving walkways. You step on and the walkway either pushes you forward or it pulls you back. That's what micro decisions are. Tiny repetitive choices. You make them without even thinking. Do I follow up now or wait? Do I check my phone first thing or don't? Do I systematize this or redo it again tomorrow? You don't think of them as real decisions, but they are. And they move you either closer to your goals or further from them. Behavioral psychology shows that most of what we call decisions, they're not deliberative. They're automatic, subconscious, and built-in patterns. Our brain has just learned them over time. Nobel Prize psychologist Daniel Kahneman says the brain's decision processes are actually split into two systems. Look at this. System 1, fast, automatic, pattern-based decisions. Systems 2 are slow, deliberate, thoughtful decisions. You're operating on system 1 most of the day, on autopilot, especially when the small choices, you don't even notice them. That's why these feel invisible. Most people don't even register these as decisions, but they are. And they're dictating your outcomes, whether you realize it or not. One popular stat says we make about 35,000 decisions per day, and the majority, automatic, not conscious. So here's the question. Are your micro decisions pulling you forward or dragging you back? Chapter 2. The power law of effort. Why most hard work is wasted. Most of what you do, it's a waste. Not because you're lazy, because of the 80-20 rule, Pareto principle. So you've probably heard of this, but maybe not in the context of your micro decisions. Roughly 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. Most people miss the high leverage actions that are often tiny, boring, invisible, and you do them every day. Take Michael Phelps. When people ask what made him the most decorated Olympian of all time, he never talks about race day. He talks about the most mundane things, how he showed up on random training days when no one was watching. Phelps was actually obsessed, if you didn't know this, with his swim caps and also with his goggles. He was so obsessed with them and worried about every downside consequence. One of his micro decisions is every time he swam with his eyes closed because he just thought, what if one time my goggles don't work? He says it's not about excellence every 4 years, it's about how excellent you are right now on a Friday afternoon. Are you going through the motions or doing something to get better? That's Pareto at work. It wasn't one heroic swim, it was him deciding to shave every inch of his body before he got in the pool. That is a micro decision that he repeated every single time. A tiny percentage of his daily choices produced an Olympian. So in your life, small decisions done consistently, well, there are a few that actually matter. And I want to drill down even further into that. 20% of the 20%, so just 4% of what you do, might be driving over 60% of your results. So if you're working 12-hour days and you're still stuck, it's actually not an effort problem, it's a focus problem. You're paying attention to the wrong 20%, and that's where the leverage is. And that's how you start building a life that scales. You focus on the right thing. So the question to ask yourself is, where is your Phelps razor? Where can you swim with your goggles full and your eyes blind? Number 3, what happens if you ignore micro decisions? It's not just that you're missing a bunch of upside, there's actually a bunch of downside, like the 23-minute tax. So this is interesting. Research shows it takes up to 23 minutes to fully refocus after just one interruption. And let's be honest, how often are you checking email, Slack, notifications? Most people, they check it 20 to 30 times a day. That's not multitasking. That's a full day of productivity wiped out by context switching. How many times have you thought, just gonna check something real quick, and found yourself down an Instagram K-hole? Every one of those moments is a tiny leak in your ability. It's a tiny leak in your focus. And they're draining your bank account too. It's actually not the $8 coffee everybody's yelling at you about, including me sometimes. It's the 15 times you didn't think twice to distract yourself. Studies are actually fascinating. They show the average person spends $314 a month on things they don't even remember buying. That's $4,000 a year. And we spend more when paying is easy. That's like the real problem with how they're stealing money from you right now is frictionless financial spending. So it's not even a budgeting problem. It's that you open up the app and you can double click on Instagram to get something straight to you, and the same thing with Amazon. So the pattern is shaped actually by your defaults, your micro decisions. And because they're small, you don't notice it. You wake up a month from now wondering, where did my money go? Why does it feel like I'm always behind? And these decisions are either gonna help you make money or leak them. Like, for instance, instead of those micro decisions where you give all your money to Mark Zuckerberg, who I think he's doing fine, he doesn't need it, you instead set up your automatic savings so that you're not spending all the time. You take out your 10 to 30% before you make a single dollar for fun or spending activities, and you auto make sure that you invest it in something like Wealthfront. That is a micro decision that is for the positive. Chapter 4, real stories, real results. So micro decisions might sound small, but let's look at how big these could be. Like, for instance, Southwest Airline, they only fly one type of plane. Do you know that? Boeing 737. Why? Same plane means the same training, same maintenance, faster turnarounds. Most airlines, they have a ton of different models. So other airlines have to have different engineers, fleets, complexity. Southwest was like, nah, we're gonna pick one plane, and that's why we're gonna become one of the most profitable carriers in the US. So because of that, Southwest actually made money profitably when most of the airlines did not. Let's go to Costco next. Costco doesn't rely on markup to make money. Their real profit comes from, do you guys know this? Membership fees. So one recurring micro decision, sign up annually, that's it. That, yes, makes them $4 billion in pure margin, more than they make on everything else they sell. One decision, infinite cash flow, and you don't even think about it. Now, you don't need to be UPS or Costco to use this. We've seen lots of people stack small decisions. Like, for instance, this is Bobby Pierce. So Bobby's interesting because Bobby, he was in our community and he started sending 5x more follow-ups to leads. He didn't hire anyone new. We just got him a faster speed to lead, which means that he made an additional $120K in revenue this year. Not bad. Or Jemmy Murray, who had a micro decision to offload sales using AI and led to $922K in new revenue. Remember, this isn't about a big breakthrough. It's about finding one decision that matters to you, locking in and letting it work every day without you. That decision to not get in the way of the leads and just allow somebody to respond immediately, yeah, that might be one decision once, but look how they compound. Now, you can have the best destination, but if you drift 1% off course every day, you're in a different city by the end of the month. One of the first real decisions you make when starting a business is your domain. It is the foundation everything else builds on. Grab your domain name early. Seriously, it's one of those 5-minute moves that pays off forever. But the problem, most good .com names are gone. So you end up with something like besthvacsolutions93.com. That's why I like .online domain. You can get the name you want, like cody.online. And in a world where trust is everything, that's leverage. So if you've been putting it off, go grab .online domain now before someone else does. We'll drop the link below. Chapter 5, the micro framework. So this is how you take all these ideas and you put them into action right now. I use this 5-step filter. It starts with M, which is notice the moment. Ask, why does this feel harder than it should? Why am I doing this again? You're replying to the same client question for the 3rd time this week. That frustration you feel, that's not bad luck or bad energy. That's micro decisions hiding. Friction is a signal. I, identify the lever. Ask, what's one step that repeats? What's the smallest change with the biggest payoff? You keep rescheduling meetings because people don't show up prepared. The lever isn't better meetings. It's sending an agenda template before every call. It's making sure that they understand what the value is when they get on. Repetition equals leverage. C is constrain or cut. Can I remove this? Can I automate that? Can I set a rule so I never have to decide this again? You waste 15 minutes every morning deciding what to work on. So you set a rule. No email before 11 a.m. One priority task first. No debate, no willpower. Fewer choices, more freedom. And then R, reinforce what works. Ask, did this save time, money, or energy? Can I lock this in as a default? You batch meetings into 2 days, suddenly you get Fridays back. That's what I do, but I do that with Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you don't experiment anymore, you make the rule, which means wins only matter if you keep them. So you want to offload them forever. Oh, ask, can I delegate this, template it, or delete it permanently? Let's say you're asking the same onboarding questions every week. Record a loom, drop it in a doc, never explain it again. Every system is a silent employee. Think about that for a second. Every system you have is a silent employee working for you. This isn't about massive life overhauls. It's catching one annoying moment, turning it into a smart rule, letting it compound, maybe even using AI to do it. Chapter 6, positive versus negative micro decisions. Auto-saving 10% of every paycheck, setting a recurring gym schedule, replying kindly even when annoyed, scheduling deep work blocks, prepping meals once a week, reviewing bank accounts on Sunday. Any of these is a micro decision that's negative. So have more positive, less negative. Chapter 7, why this matters now. We're in the middle of a focus crisis. Your brain, your calendar, your money, they're all under attack. Right now, humans used to have a 12-second attention span. Now it's 8. That's less than a goldfish. We have some people saying they're in 31 hours of meetings a week. The work week is only 40 hours. You get 60 to 90 notifications per day, and most employees context switch every 2 to 3 minutes. 92% of you are context switching during meetings. Also, are you context switching during this video? But seriously, those small decisions are actually stealing money right out of your pocket. It's kind of like, the Buddha said, which is be here now. If you can determine how to keep your focus in a world that is trying to steal it from you, you will make more money. So go back through this video, follow the framework, do these small decisions that you know you need to do every day, because those small decisions compound into your millions. Promise. You don't have to be richer, you don't have to be smarter, you don't have to be better looking, you don't have to have a better education than anybody else. You just need to make better small decisions. Oh wait, I want to show you something else. I've been trying to insert more Gen Z alpha terminology, so my team tells me I should say, here's the T, and this is my next idea for you. Snacks. I don't like to think about what they are anymore, so I only have little meat snacks that they put together for me. This would be not chicken, this is definitely steak, and this is bison meat. And I used to make this by myself. This was meal prepping. I do it every single Monday. Now I have a chef that puts these together for me. But that means that I don't have to worry about what I'm gonna eat, and I don't end up eating trash, which would happen otherwise. Okay, the next one is whisper flow. Basically, I don't type anymore, I just go like this. Hey guys, can you go ahead and send that for me? I'm a little bit late on the delivery, so I'll see you guys in 20 minutes, but you can start without me. Bam, and there it is. I don't have to do anything besides text. Oh, by the way, it doesn't allow for that. Like, when it says duck all the time, but you don't mean duck, you mean something else? Whisper flow, well, they know. Okay, I want to talk about assistants, because you work less, they work more, but they make less money than you. I started out with an AI assistant. You could use one like Codie. Then I got a virtual assistant that's about $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month. Now I have a real assistant, and she's a lot more than that, but you scale up. Also, why do all the work yourself when you can use robots? I use Claude Code, and Claude Code basically allows me to make things that are like another agent that can do things for me. So you can check this out right here. I could basically, in real time, have it recreate a base case scenario of an underlying dashboard that I want to have. Looks like a bunch of stuff that you guys probably can't understand, but all I have to do is talk to it like a human. And it starts actually creating a real usable database that I can view in real time, which is pretty rad. And that database ends up saving me tens of hours, so I don't have to use a bunch of spreadsheets. Instead, Claude will code it for me. Also, what if you just save more time doing the things you already do? Let me show you this thing. So I didn't, my dude built, basically a way for every single meeting. It tracks how many minutes you are behind and how many minutes everybody has to go through during the meeting. So you don't have a bunch of meetings that run overtime with people who are yappers and they yap up all your time. You know what I'm talking about? Not into that. Do you understand, Rich? This is really, really critical in my mind for service businesses and so underutilized. 9 out of 10 small businesses undercharge. When was the last time you raised your prices? So expensive things, people who can afford them. I'm going to tell you how to make any of these make sense to you so you can apply it to your business and your life and after. This is the Big Deal podcast, and I'm Codie Sanchez. Welcome back. Today, we're talking to you builders about how to make more money. I call this the sell things to rich people, they pay more. And I know that's true, and it's cute, but is it so easy? Having sold clients who are both not so rich and rich, there is a truth to this meme, which I want to read to you. You can see it here. It says, $500 client. I just feel as though with this investment I'm about to make in you, that you should understand how our lives are about to change. And I need results and you need to bring them, and I'm entrusting you with our livelihood and lives. $50,000 client. Money sent, thanks. Anybody who's been in business kind of chuckles at this, except it's true. Now, here's why I understand the $500 client. You have to remember that they need that $500 to do something.
for them. They actually have a visceral need. That might be what's called last dollar for them. They need the return on that dollar to be so significant that they hold you to a level that is actually irrational. And so you don't want to just sell things to rich people because you're greedy. You want to sell things to rich people maybe even because you're not the best to begin with. In order to sell things to people who don't have a lot of money, you have to sell a huge amount of volume to be able to live. Volume is hard to get when you're not a very good operator. So rich people want you to sell them something. Remember that and use it to your advantage. There are two worlds of entrepreneurships. One world, scraps, selling cheap products to price-sensitive customers who churn the moment they find a discount. In the second world, sell fewer, better things for more money. That volume game can work. It's built some of the biggest business empires out there, Walmart, Amazon, McDonald's. Three small issues, though. The game is brutally competitive. It requires you to be airtight in your operations and infrastructure. And even the best eventually move into higher margin products. So a different path. Sell expensive things to people who can afford them. The question you need to ask yourself is, when was the last time you raised your prices? Our guess, 9 out of 10 small businesses undercharge. Why? Scary not to. If you start to realize wealthy customers want to be sold, your entire business can change. The question, though, is, what do rich people actually buy? There are 5 reasons rich people buy, only 5. Every single reason falls into this hierarchy that I call the rich desire pyramid and teach to all of our portfolio companies. Number 1, status. Status means make me look important. It's the top of the pyramid. How do you sell it? You position your business as the best, not the cheapest. When they ask, well, can I get a discount? You say, well, you could, but you might regret buying from that guy. Why don't you just pay a pro now as opposed to regret an amateur later? You showcase expertise, exclusivity, and premium service. What are companies that do this really well? Because I always like to imitate, then I iterate, then I innovate. So you might want to imitate some of the marketing of Hermes, limited run purses that are mostly handmade, although I hear there's some confusion about that by China right now, but let's stick with the plot, which is one person makes each item from start to finish. It's special and it's a signal. When you carry a Birkin bag, you are saying something. No one who buys a Birkin bag is trying to ask for discounts. This is a customer that actually wants to pay more for the alligator extra ridiculous thing on top. Except, is it ridiculous if they want to pay for it? In fact, I think you have to flip your brain about that. Number 2 in the pyramid is convenience. That means make my life easier. So if you think about rich people, if they have an infinite amount of money, they can buy almost anything, right? Except more time. So if you can do something that allows them to buy back their time, they will pay you for it, potentially up to a complete no cap at the top, which I really like. So how do you sell something like this? Well, you eliminate friction. That would be things like white glove service, subscriptions, concierge treatment, private jets, fast and expensive. For instance, if you go to all major airlines, but we'll use Delta as an example, Delta has really 2 classes of tickets, right? They have main cabin and they have first class. So you might think that the really special people go to first class. Well, actually, the really special people go to first class and then they get Delta Concierge, which is somewhere between $500 and $1,000 for somebody to get them from the front of the airport, drive them around to the back, let them load up first and privately, and it's for no different experience. No different product is sold there as far as the seat. It is literally just that it increases convenience for them. So that is what you need to think about in your business. If right now you have a landscaping service, why wouldn't you add a white glove offering to the top? What might white glove mean? It might mean, hey, one of our portfolio companies, we said, what about for new homeowners in really expensive suburban neighborhoods? What if you as their landscaping service said, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I know you're new here. We're happy to give you a landscaping quote and to do your landscaping for you. Also, we have a group of 5 other of the top tier service providers in your area. So if you need somebody for cleaning, I can make a recommendation. If you need somebody for window washing, roofing, interior design, we have a Rolodex, and I can literally do a white glove introduction for you to all of those people. And what do on that? You actually take an affiliate cut on everybody. So this is not as scalable. But remember, because you have big margins and because you create convenience, you can have a very sexy business doing white glove service of existing services. By the way, if you're building a business right now and you're stuck or you want to break out to the next level, maybe you're not where you want to be today. Believe me, I've been there many, many times. I want you to know I got you. We help thousands of business owners a year figure out how to scale to the next level. One of my favorite mentors said, every level you have, there's just a higher level and a higher devil. And so if you've been in business for a while and you're doing 6, 7, or 8 figures, there's probably one thing standing in the way of your next level. That's why we host growth and scale workshops 4 times a year throughout the year in Austin, in Miami, in San Diego, and you may be a fit to come to one of them. If it sounds interesting to you to get help on how to scale your business to the next level, you can reach out to my team at the link in the show notes. We believe in you builders, but we also believe that it's a lonely road and you can't do it by yourself. Number 3, exclusivity. Let me in, keep others out. That's what they're saying. This is why there are private members clubs. This is why there are golf courses, because rich people want to feel special, good, bad, or otherwise, like them or don't like them. This is something that people want when they have a lot of money to buy. So how do you sell it? Restrict access, invite-only services, VIP tiers. This creates demand. Think about it like, I don't know, have you guys ever heard of Tiger 21? Tiger 21 is a fascinating community. You have to have $20 million in net worth to be in a community that you pay $30,000 for a year, and they validate your income. They will not let you in unless they can validate your income and also your net worth. How fascinating is that? And then you're in a room a couple times a year with only other people that are worth $20 million or above. They don't want any other people in it, so they charge you a premium for only allowing access to other people just like them. We can hate this and think it's elitist, or we can use it and get rich. It's really up to you. Number 4, privacy. Give me some space. So often, once you have a lot of money, other things come with that. For instance, now that I'm public on the internet, there's lots of people that get doxxed, right? So they want to make sure that they're protected. There are entire services for scrubbing all of your information off of the internet. There are services that scrub your businesses off the internet. Don't tell people about them. Supposedly there's quite a few celebrities who scrub their children's photos everywhere off the internet. And so as you get more famous and as you get more money, people want things from you. If you're famous, maybe they want your picture, they want access to you, whatever. If you have more money, they want some of it. And so if you can create this privacy buffer space, then you can make a lot of money. So how do you sell it? Well, you offer high trust, high security, high privacy services. A way to do this across the board might be like, I have a cleaning company and I only clean really high-end customers' houses. So all of my cleaning ladies sign NDA policies. They make sure that they understand owner preferences. You can tell us how you want to be communicated with by our cleaners. So you can do this because you allow absolute discretion, which builds loyalty. This is really, really critical in my mind for service businesses and so underutilized. And maybe if you don't have a lot of money right now, this one doesn't make sense to you, but I'm going to tell you how to make any of these make sense to you so you can apply it to your business and your life right after this. 5, scarcity. Make it hard to get. So let's think about this for a second. Why do rich people want something to be hard for other people to get? Well, they want to feel special, right? So at a certain point, if you have all the money in the world, it's not just about other people thinking highly of you. It's about you being able to tell a story about a thing you were able to do or get or see that somebody else couldn't get. It's almost like a rich person pioneer, right? They're like, I want to be the first one to plant my flag on a foreign land. So how do you sell this? You limit availability. You do this on purpose. And let me tell you how rare this is for entrepreneurs to do. What do entrepreneurs want to do? Sell more things to more people again and again and again because they want to make more money. It actually doesn't make sense in your head commonsensically to think, well, maybe I should sell less things at a higher price. But that is what this is. And how you do this is waiting lists, premium tiers, applications, all drive demand. Think about waiting for the brand new shoe drops, or we talked about Birkin bags before. In fact, you want to actually have things that are a real commodity, which means they're limited in quantity. I met a guy, I was at this event, and this was an event for a bunch of rich people. And funny thing about rich people is they have weird hobbies. And so this guy in particular had just exited his second or third SaaS company. And I'm sitting down with him and I'm like, what are you working on right now? Lord, do I wish I hadn't asked that question because I got a soliloquy on crystal marketplaces. He had just started a crystal marketplace. Now this isn't your ordinary woo-woo Austin crystal. He was showing me his crystal collection, which was like, I don't know, $1 million crystals. And I felt like that meme where that like guy is whispering into the girl's ear and she's just dying on the inside as she's listening to him. And that was me with crystals this day. And so he went on and on about how he's bought this $1 million crystal and it couldn't be anywhere else. And this is so special. And I feel like he might have missed the plot about what women care about today because he appeared to be single. But why would he care about that? Because there's only one crystal just like that in the world. There's only one diamond just like that in the world. They're buying into a feeling, a position, a lifestyle. They aren't price sensitive, they're value sensitive. And once you understand this philosophy, you'll be able to sell to rich people. If you want to sell to wealthy customers, you got to ask yourself the rule of two. Does your offer hit at least two of these categories? If you're selling convenience, add exclusivity. If you're selling status, add scarcity. If you're selling privacy, add convenience. Rich people want to spend money, give them a reason to. Here's the difference between the two. Selling cheap means you're going to have price sensitive, high churn. You're going to have harder to scale volume game. You're going to have competitors everywhere. Selling rich means they'll pay a premium for the right product, no price shopping if they trust you, and will keep spending if you deliver. The difference between the two is really one singular idea. Do you understand rich people? And if right now you're like, oh, this sounds great, Cody, but I've never even met a person who could buy a Birkin bag or wouldn't think a $30,000, $50,000, or a $200,000 purse is criminal, then I need you to do something. You see, what changes is when we are around other people who have money, it opens up our eyes to what is possible. And so what I'd like you to do is I would like you to go to somewhere that rich people are. Right? If you're in LA, go to Beverly Hills. I just want you to walk around. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to do anything. Go to a luxury shopping mall. See how they engage with their customers there. Try to engage with the people who are there and see how they treat you versus other customers. What can you do to change the way that they treat you? If you dress a certain way, will they treat you differently? Go and sit in the lobby of the most expensive hotel you can find. Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons. Dress how you think is appropriate. You can bring your own food and drink if you want to, be sneaky about that. But I want you to watch the people coming in and out of the lobby. How do they engage? If you get a chance, sit and chat with them. One of my friends, Jesse Eitzler, when he had no money before he married Sarah Blakely and they became billionaires and he started NetJets and a bunch of big companies, he used to go to the Beverly Hills Hotel in California. And he had no money then, but he would spend the little money that he had buying the cheapest item on the lunch menu in order to sit at lunch in Hollywood and meet as many people as he could. And every single day he would have a goal of engaging with one or two people there. And then he would see, how do these people engage in life? How do they think about things? How do they build? How do they get opportunities? And he credits those conversations with some of his path to becoming a billionaire. So get around rich people, sell to rich people, you will make more money. See you next week. I believe you are capable of building big, beautiful companies.
Hey, I have something special for you for being such a loyal listener because you're here with me all the time. I get asked by a bunch of you, how do I tell if I should buy a business or not? Should you buy a business or not? What price should you buy a business at? How do you structure your deal? I got you, fam. So I'm going to gift you our deal calculator. Every time I look at a deal, I grab the numbers, plug it in here, and see how much money I could make or lose if I did a good or bad deal. So this is my gift to you. And if you're serious about buying a business, we want to help you. You can talk to my team about if you're a fit for our business buying community or curriculum. No matter what, here's your free gift. And if you need a hand to hold, I got you too. Hey crew, this is so cool. The podcast is growing like crazy, and it's only actually because of one thing, you. I don't know if you know this, but the only way the Big Deal Pod grows is when you share it with somebody else. We don't do ads, we don't do pay for play, we don't go on other people's podcasts and talk about it. So if you think there was something helpful here, if we made you money, we made you think about your business or life differently, the most beautiful thing you can do for me is share it. And the most beautiful thing you can do for someone that you care about is to share it with them, help them grow alongside you. So please share the pod. That's how we grow. And also tag me on anything you share. I love resharing other builders across Instagram, Twitter, and all other platforms. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You're super important to me.
And not like long hours, like burnout hard work, but just hard worker. You show up, you're engaged, and you know what? We can teach people stuff, but I will take a hard worker that's willing to learn and like really go getter over someone that has 20 years of experience. And then I think if you can find someone that can do both, like we always call that's a unicorn. Yeah. Someone that has like crazy experience, willing to do stuff disruptively, and like a hard worker, like it's really hard to find.
So if we had to rapid fire and you had to choose between IQ versus curiosity.
Oh, curiosity.
Creativity versus academic background.
Creativity.
Great resume versus willing to be up early, stay late.
Early, stay late, street smarts.
Wild, huh? Because I think everybody thinks the opposite. They're like, they went to Harvard, must be easy. Mm-hmm. I always joke about, we got to wash the Harvard off you. Because you got told you were too smart. Good.
I was a C student in college, and I built my business to be a $2 billion business, right? Not alone, with my team, but to your point, I'm like street smarts, I'm creative, I think different, and it's such a good recipe, though. You do have to pair it. Like, you got to have some data.
You need some nerds.
You need a good finance team. You need a good operations team. So, I think it's just to be disruptive. You need that. And then if you can find a way to pair it with some traditional, it's pretty special.
What do you think about business plans? Should every founder have one?
I used to hate them. I used to hate agendas and AOPs and planning. And then once we got to the point where we went through a full year of planning, I was like, oh, wait, that is kind of fun. And I never thought I would say that, especially for me, because I think you don't like change as an entrepreneur. But when you start planning stuff for 2026 now, and we're doing like cool launches and innovation, we know what we're doing next summer, you can really do some really disruptive things. So something that we do at Poppy is we 80% plan, and then we leave 20% for crazy or unplanned. And I'll give you an example. We knew we were going to run linear TV. We tested a piece of creative in November of, I think it was 23. It did really well. We put it at the Bachelor of the Grammys, some big premium placement. And the creative was just so good. It was anthemic. It was putting our stake in the ground that we are soda for the next generation. And I was like, this is a Super Bowl. The whole board was like, this is a Super Bowl ad. Well, we couldn't find a Super Bowl. It was sold out. I finally found one like the Wednesday before the Super Bowl. We ended up buying the Super Bowl ad like the week of the Super Bowl. Oh. So like we knew we had something good. We knew we were doing TV, our creative, we filmed it, we had production, it was amazing. But like Super Bowl was not in the plan. And that's an expensive gamble, right? Yeah. But that's how we just like were very optimistic, and we could just like grab something that was a cultural moment. It was good. We just knew in our guts. And it's hard for big businesses to do that. And I feel like still to this day, we're doing that at Poppy, even within the Pepsi system.
What does a Super Bowl ad cost you?
You can Google it. I'm not supposed to say.
Oh, yeah, that tracks. You're actually not allowed to, right?
Yeah, you're not supposed to say, literally, but it's all just ChatGPT it.
Yeah, it's probably a lot, and it's all over the internet. But you didn't hear it here. Well, just kidding. We'll link it. I'll find that shit out for you.
Exactly. You say it, not me.
Yeah, exactly. David, find it out. And then tell me when you find it. Buying a Main Street business can change your life. Instead of starting from scratch, you can acquire a company that already has customers, cash flow, and a team in place. But here's the catch. Most people can't afford to pay cash for a business. That's where smart financing comes in. And let me tell you, this is where the game changes. Why spend years grinding from zero when you could skip the guesswork, acquire businesses that are already profitable, and scale them up? With SoFi's small business loan marketplace, you can get connected with SBA providers and other financing options to get the capital you need. That's the leverage, baby. There's no hit to your credit score just for searching in the SoFi marketplace. And if you're approved, you can have funding in your account as soon as the same day you're approved, which is wild, right? It's not about chasing the unicorn. It's about real cash flow, proven systems, and loyal customers from day one. And that's what Owner Nation is all about. So if you're in, head to sofi.com/Codie and see what's possible. Okay, so how about this? Is it true that you raised $50 million for your company or something like that?
It's a lot more.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, obviously by now.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is about, so you've raised more than $50 million for your company. We'll leave it at that. There's so many people listening that like, they have what I call a first wallet problem, which is like they almost can't think beyond their wallet. So they're like, I have $1,000, so I could only start a company with $1,000. And I think there are a lot of limiting beliefs people have about getting other people's money. One, they think that sounds scammy. Like, how could you get other people's money? What do you mean? Two, it's like, oh, that's only for rich people. Three, it's like, well, I don't know that I could do it because I've never given somebody money, so how could somebody else? It's all these first wallet problems. How do you pitch someone to get them to give you their money?
I think it's a few things. You actually have to have a business plan. A lot of people do not want to invest in an idea. Mm-hmm. And you have to also know where that money is going. There's nothing more that irks me when someone says, I want you to invest in my brand. I'm like, what are you going to use it for? And they can't answer that question. Yeah. Look, I'm open to all sorts of things. I've had people say, I want to clean up my cap table. I want to invest it in marketing and people and headcount. POs coming in. Look, there's not necessarily a wrong answer. You just kind of need to know. And then once you dig in, you want to do your DD on the due diligence, but you actually have to know what you're talking about, know the numbers. And that was a big thing going on being a shark this time that I learned. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that came in and they didn't know where their money was. And I'm like, you're going to go on a national TV show and not know where the $700,000 lives on your P&L? Know your stuff. And if you don't know it, hire someone, do a fractional, be scrappy, figure it out. And I think if you can do that and you can sell, then comes the dream. Sell the dream, but you kind of have to, unfortunately, have a business plan.
Yeah. So what did it sound like when you first pitched Poppy and you got people to invest in you? What was your pitch? Did you have a 30-seconder?
Yeah. So, hey, sharks. No. We had done about $500,000 in revenue. We were a different company called Mother Beverage, like I said. And we just had a great story. I was very passionate about it. We actually had some traction. We had some sales, right? It wasn't something that wasn't. We also were already in Whole Foods. So originally in the early days, we had Whole Foods come by our booth and they were like, you guys need to be in Whole Foods. And that was really an aha moment too of you have a business. So we had a retailer. We were going into Sprouts on top of it. So we kind of we were a real business. We were a little baby business. So I think I have a lot of people that DM me now and they want a lot of my time. And it's tough because I don't have so much time and I have 3 children at home and I'm working on other projects and doing different things. And there's nothing, once again, that irks me more is someone saying, hey, I have an idea. I would love to jump on a call with you. And I'll be like, is that all? You want me to build your business for you? You want me to just tell you, you know what I mean? It's tough out there.
But I think it's actually good that you say that because so many people are PC nonsense on here and they just want everybody to feel like they're nice and not tell them the truth. Mm-hmm. And people who are trying to build it, they need the truth. Hey, you will not get an investor to take you seriously like that. Don't waste my time because that will not lead to you getting more money. So I think it's actually really good that people say this, especially women and big women founders, because sometimes we're too nice.
I know.
And it's
a problem.
Yeah, you probably weren't always that nice when you were growing. You're like, I don't have time for this or this or this because I got to do what needs to be done in the business.
Your life is so ingrained when you have business and kids and you're grinding and then you get to the point where they feel like, well, you don't have time for me. It's I don't have time for myself. Right. And so it's not personal, it's business and it affects people. For me, my family's incredible. They're one of the biggest supporters. I would not have survived my pop years without my husband. We're very blessed in that. But to your point, the friend thing's hard and I have so much love for him, but it's really hard.
You work with your husband.
Mm-hmm.
I do too. So hats off to you. I'm a big fan of family business. I don't know who talked us out of the idea that family business was always bad. But how important is your partner to you? How important is it the person that you choose as your husband or your spouse?
Yeah, I think it's more important than they say, you get into marriage with business leaders or investors and stuff. But if you don't have that core, I don't know, healthy marriage at home, if your home life's a mess, then you're not going to show up right and be able to be successful. And it's interesting because me and my husband started this together. I get all the recognition for Poppy, right? And so to even have a strong man to allow to live in that situation, I will say, we've talked about it and he's like, yeah, it'd be nice if I had more recognition, but we're having success and we're building something that's going to last for generations. It's a true partnership and we know we're working towards the same goal has been really core to our success. But I'll be honest, now that we're on the other side of it, and we're doing kind of our own thing. This is the first time ever we haven't worked together day in, day out. And so it's been an interesting, like, how do we do this? Like, where are you going? How, like, I usually like am sitting next to him in the office or doing something. So it's like a whole new wave. And it's actually kind of fun, exciting. We're finding hobbies. It's like this whole new world of what I think probably marriage should have been, not like so crazy, like every date night at Poppy. So I just think it's so important. And then to find someone that lifts you up and like understands your values, because I am a very successful woman and a lot that can bother a lot of men, right? And he's just supported me through that. I don't know, would you say you guys have similar values?
Yeah. I mean, I think I got lucky. He's a former Navy SEAL. So he never really cared that much about money. He was like, we weren't even playing the same game. There was no competition between the two of us because he really cared about service. That's still really important to him.
Yes.
He cares about like, really, am I doing something that matters? That's super important to him. He needs to feel like needed and respected. And I like the game of business. So I was like, no, I want to build something big. And like, who cares if they respect me? I want to do, and so the two of us together, I think that worked well. But if it wasn't for him, I do think it would have been really hard to build alone.
I wouldn't be, like, Poppy would not be here today if like we hadn't done it together. Hands down, I could not have done it alone. It's just, yeah, it's tough. And that's why we say, like, it might not be your husband in business, but having a co-founder is special. And even if they're not a co-founder, just like the first two employees, like whatever it is, that community keeps you sane.
Buddy system. I like it. Do you think that you can become a really successful billion-dollar CEO and still have all the same friends, do all the same things you did previously, have work-life balance? Is that possible?
No. And I think people need to hear that. And I think people also need to hear it's okay if you're a workaholic, if you love it. I think women get that a lot too, is like, well, why don't you want to be home more and do all this and like have a spa day and do these things? It's like, because I would rather be at work. And that's okay. It's when it's burnt out, you don't like it and you don't love it, you should take a break and you should take care of yourself. That's not what I'm saying. But there's this stigma of you should have balance, but like, I don't want balance. I thrive in chaos. I'm obsessed without balance, right? And that's okay. And I don't think a lot of people talk about that. It's as long as you're mentally okay. I'm not saying don't take care of yourself. I don't know. How do you act with that type of thing?
The same. Somebody at my trainer this morning asked me, like, what are your hobbies? I was like, that's funny. Hobbies? Yeah. I don't have time for hobbies right now. Yeah. I got a hobby and it's called the business. Yeah. And I hobby it all day from like 6 to 9, like that's about what we do.
And you love it.
And I'm thrilled. Yeah. I wouldn't do it if I mean, there are parts of every day I don't like, if I'm super honest. Yeah, there's at least some part of every day that I'm like, fuck my life, this is really hard. But there's more of the day that I really like. And so I can't imagine doing anything else. And I find it totally uninteresting, if I'm honest.
Yeah. So that means you still love it.
Yeah.
Because now I'm on the other side where we've transitioned to advisors on Poppy. I'm still heavily involved in the creative and marketing, but I picked up golf and I'm obsessed. But
that's a 180.
It's a 180, but it's almost like I'm taking lessons 3 times a week. And it's a hobby I can do with my husband, which we've never had hobbies together because Poppy was our hobby, to your point. So it's interesting now being on the other side, but I'm almost just as intense with this and like want to get it perfect. It's not like, let's go play golf.
You're breaking golf clubs.
Everything I do. Yeah, everything I do is a little bit intense.
Yeah, I like that. You know what else I think is really interesting about you? It seems like you never gave up your feminine look, your long hair, great makeup. Do you think that women need to change the way they look to be taken seriously?
It's interesting. Look, I've always loved to be a girly girl. I grew up like dancing and with makeup, and it's so funny. I just never thought I had to change, I guess, to your point. I don't think so. I think especially now within tech and beverage and CPG, like showing up even in sweatpants, like I'm okay with that if my employees are at work in sweatpants. Because like, who cares? If they're working and they're performing, let them be them. There's many a time I've gone to a board meeting in sweatpants or in a suit, right? It's like however I felt that day, that was like my personality. And I'm seeing that shift, honestly, in the business world, maybe not like in the banking world and finance. That's when I go to like New York and everybody from Goldman to JP to, you're just like, you guys, put the suit away.
Dude, I fell into that too. I cut my hair super short when I started in banking, and I have really thick hair, so I just look like a mushroom. I mean, it was horrifying for everybody involved.
Yeah, put a picture up on the, no.
It's probably out there somewhere. But I think I really felt like this is what a businesswoman looks like. And now I'm not so sure that being attractive is not actually really an unfair advantage too.
Right.
And being feminine is actually kind of an unfair advantage because not a lot of billion-dollar CPG founders look like you.
You should do you. And it's what I feel comfortable in. You know what I mean? Like, totally. I like it.
Yeah.
And it's the beauty of being a founder too. You can kind of do whatever the fuck you want.
The best part.
Literally the best part.
Is it also true, I was reading, I don't know, on your website or somewhere, that you got Post Malone, Hailey Bieber, Kylie Jenner, Billie Eilish, Russell Westbrook, I actually don't know who that is, J-Lo, Olivia Munn, to either invest or partner with you?
So it's interesting. Yes and no. So we are what we call is like celebrities' favorite soda, culture's favorite soda, college's favorite soda. Like we are really ingrained into like culture, music, lifestyle. We're really good at that. And so we have a really big motto at Poppy is we have unlimited samples. We send out 300,000 packages a year, like crazy amount of samples. Like that number is probably even higher now. And so our secret to success was keeping all of these celebrities stocked up. And I would say for 2 years, we stocked up Kylie, Jenner, Stassi, her friend, all this stuff. And then it organically showed up one day in her TikToks. And it just organically started becoming part of their lives. Same thing with like Hailey. We stocked up with no, like, we didn't ever ask for them to post, do anything. And then it organically, she got papped with it all over LA, right? So I think a lot of people are like, well, they don't want to invest in that because they don't see the ROI. It's a longer burn ROI on it. And it's just like hoping and praying. Now, someone like J-Lo, love J-Lo, found out she was a big fan. We reached out. We did end up working with her. And then with Post Malone, same. He was like on a couple of podcasts just talking about how he had to give up soda because it was so bad for him. And I found out it was because he had discovered Poppy. So we organically did a partnership with them. So it's this thing where it's like a combination where we show up. I mean, like Pedro Pascal is like papped with Poppy. Like it's crazy. It's just so, it still like blows my mind every day.
That is out of control. I mean, he is like sort of the it guy now too. So does this mean that you go hang out with all of them?
I wish. I will say I've become good friends with Olivia Munn. We did. She was like one of our OG. Her. She's the sweetie. She has kids. We have kids around the same age. And she was like one of our first. She is best friends with Rohan's right hand, Stevie, and they became friends. And she invested really early, like one of the first. And she was such a good partner. She posted us. She got papped with it. She organically just like loved it. And so, you know, when you get like a good partnership like that, you do kind of get close to them, which is fun.
Yeah. Well, you're in the kind of the trenches of business together, which is tough. What does get papped mean? Does that mean paparazzi?
Yeah.
I'm so not cool. That's so funny. How about, let's talk about the other side. Like, have you ever had a really big disagreement or investor meeting or something go really sideways in your meeting? My dad calls them like your head in the hands in the middle of the night, no idea what to do next moments.
You know, I think it's so funny. There's a lot of that. And I wish I would have journaled, I swear, where there was literally screaming, fighting, not knowing. But I think that it brings good resolution to have those moments. And, you know, one that I can kind of think of is our cans are actually direct printed, right? So they look like a regular can, they're printed. But when you start out in the early days, you do sleeved cans.
Oh, yeah.
And they're very expensive, but they're really pretty and they pop on the shelf, right? And so there was a while where we were like fighting over, should we move to direct print because it might not be colorful? It was like this whole thing. We didn't make time for it. It was like, so like, it was just like dramatic. And then we finally made the switch and it saved us like $17 million that year.
Whoa.
Like, because the sleeve cans are more expensive. So there's certain things where like, that was dumb. We should have done that earlier. The conflict got us there. It was like this whole thing. And then it finally made us a priority as the money pushed over the edge. So there's stuff like that, but I can't think of like a drag down. I'm sure there's a lot of them. Don't get me wrong, but I love the good and the bad.
I know. Yeah. It's funny. When I wrote my book, I have a guy I worked with, my editor, Charlie, who's amazing. If you ever write one, you should work with him. But he was really funny. He's like, you know what I've realized about a lot of founders? You guys have like a weird reverse amnesia.
It's so true.
And you do not actually, I literally was like, Charlie, I know that there's been times where I've been stolen from, lied to, cheated, Yeah. I literally cannot remember. So he would have to prime me with all of these, which maybe is like childbirth or something. They say it's you can't 100%. Remember.
Yeah. I was literally going to liken it to that. It's, you have it and you're like, I'll never do that again. And then you find yourself pregnant in a year. But I'm like, I don't know if I could do it again. But it's the same thing where people are like, are you going to start another company? I'm like, I absolutely could do it again. And they're like, but you just came off that and it's you just get the bug.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. And if you're having fun, like I said, then
you keep going. So what does it take to sell a company to Pepsi for like $1.95 billion? How does that even start happening?
Yeah, so especially in beverage, there's literally 3 people that can buy you or you can go public. And the reason why you do want to partner with a strategic, in this case, it was Pepsi for us, is our mission at Poppy is to revolutionize soda for the next generation. I want it to be the soda my kids and grandkids know as soda. And the only way to do that is to get it into more hands. And the best people that can do that is Pepsi. Through distribution. I mean, they have iconic branding, systems in place, leadership, like so many good things that you can gain value on going into a system like that. And another example is like college campuses. They own all the big contracts on all of them. Yeah. We could not actually be sold on the college campuses. We're the official soda of the Lakers. We could not be sold in the stadium. Right. And so it's these things these big unlocks that you have. So for us, it was always a goal. Yeah. From Shark Tank to end goal is to hopefully get on to like Pepsi's truck, right? The American dream, right? And so for us, it was kind of like always a goal. And then you just start dating, right? So we had been talking to them for a while. You kind of have meetings, you go back and forth. And then we just had like a gangbusters growth. We had triple digit growth year over year. And it's at one point too where you can get too big. Yeah. Where people don't want to acquire you. And we were just like, we're kind of in this interesting sweet spot. We had been talking to them and they just seemed like it was just the right timing. You almost like don't know because you're like, is it too soon? Is it too late? But they ended up giving us such an incredible offer. And then they guaranteed all of our employees could stay on and they could keep Poppy. And so we're like this subsidiary still within the system, but we're still running as like the Poppy engine. And so for me, it was like kind of check. And so between, us as founders and the board and the senior leadership, we all just like, in our guts felt like it was the right time. Yeah. And it was like cohesive. We all felt it. Nobody was like, no, because if one person's off, there's doubt and it casts doubt. And so we were like, if we all feel good, then this is probably the right time.
How long do you think you had to start talking to people about this acquisition before it went through? Did you have a strategy about that? Were you like, hey, I want to build these relationships so one day when we need it, we're already going to be warm?
Well, the good news with Rohan, our shark, he had been in beverage for a long time. He had sold multiple companies. He had great relationships. Our CEO, Chris, had been in beverage for 30 years, had great relationships. So that goes to the piece of like, yes, we had a great story with me and Steven, our founders, but we also had a great like team around us to help guide us through that. And it was so fun to like go through it. Now I'm like, oh man, I want to do that again.
I think there are a lot of people listening, and we've realized one thing in particular lately, David and I, that a lot of people don't know how to communicate with authority. Like they would not know how to stand up in the room with Pepsi and express what they want, or even how to come on a podcast and be taken seriously. I'm curious for you, do you think there are mechanisms to be taken more seriously in the way that you speak, maybe especially as a female CEO?
Well, for me, it's always been a little bit harder as a woman to be taken serious in a room full of men, right? Especially in beverage. I'm the only female founder of an exit of this size ever, right? And so especially in beverage, it's like a heavily male-dominated thing. But the one thing I will say is the team embraced my vision and crazy versus pushed it away. And so I'm very blessed with that because I've heard absolute horror stories. I've heard stories of people being like, they want me to change my clothes. I can't have fun anymore. I was just like, you started this company for a reason. Believe in yourself. And so I always just tell myself that anytime I'm going in somewhere into a big meeting, it's like, I did this. None of them started a company. They've gotten behind us in this, but I did this and I deserve to be here versus as a female in the room, I can't. No, I'm not putting myself into that box. And I once again goes back to support system. My husband is always my biggest cheerleader and he was obviously in a lot of those meetings as well. And so it's like a little bit comforting to have like your team and your cheerleaders behind you. But I was challenged a lot through the years. And I've even had other people say, you've changed the way I lead because I thought it had to be a different way and you showed me different. So it's like growth on both ends.
Do you ever remember somebody in particular saying to you, like, you're not going to make it, no chance?
You know, it goes back to probably that amnesia. If they did, I probably blocked it out.
Like, whatever, bitch, scoreboard.
Literally, like I'm a forever optimist. You can tell me, and look, I've cried. My ego's been hurt over the years. I've been in a room where people don't understand my value. Mm-hmm. And that's honestly harder, is when people don't recognize your value when you're doing amazing things and they're bringing you down because you're shining. That's honestly a harder place to be, when people are trying to bring you down because they don't understand your value than the other. But I do think it's ever evolving.
For doing, which is self-promotion if you are good for real things you did. And I remember being pretty jealous at that time about a bunch of other people. And I was like, man, maybe it's me, maybe it's not everybody else. But thankfully that led me to do some pretty crazy things. I ended up not asking my boss for permission and going to another boss in another division in another part of the company and saying, I want to come work here. I want to come work there. When I kept getting turned down, I kept going. Finally, one of them says yes to me. I'm like, sick. My boss sucks, but this person sees I'm great. And my boss shuts it down. He's like, I don't care that other person wants you. Again, I'm going to fill it with somebody else. I was like, son of a gun, I'm really doing something wrong here. So what happened? I leave. But where do I go? I'm like, well, this time I am apparently relatively unemployable. And so if you are also unemployable, just know that most entrepreneurs, the reason for your success will be a bad former boss. And so it's okay if you're semi-unemployable, if you don't like the people that you've worked with before. Have a little introspection to make sure if everybody's an asshole, what do we know? You probably are. So I'm sure I was in many ways back then. But then I went to State Street. And the way I went to State Street was different. This time I was like, okay, I want to be a boss. Not the boss, but a boss. I want to manage people. I want to lead a team. And I want to see if I'm any good at this. And are they bad or am I like unleadable? And so I wasn't really qualified for that at the time. And the best way to get something you are unqualified for is to show, don't tell, is to do proof of work, not proof of resume. And so what did I do? I went out to State Street. I looked at all these jobs they had outstanding. There was one that I thought I could do, which was in Latin America. And I put together an entire business plan. Here's how I would run this division. Here's the client list I would go after. Here's the scripts I would use. Here's the product I would sell. Here's the people I would hire for my team. Here was my budget. I just put together, I did all the work. And I still didn't get the job. And then I did it 3 different times for 3 different people and 3 different roles at State Street until I swear to God, one of the guys finally called me and he goes, are you this Codie Sanchez girl that is calling all of us? And I said, yeah. I go, can you imagine what I'm going to do for you when I do this when I don't get paid? What do you think I'm going to do for you when I do get paid? And he was honestly worn down, like a sad dad, after the kids just beating him up. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do this. He gives me a job. That job was pretty incredible because that was the first time I got to run my own little team. I got to have people report into me. But if you think I was good at it at first, you're out of your mind. I remember the first time I had to fire somebody, which was my first employee too, whose name was Ryan. Sorry, Ryan. And Ryan was straight up Bostonian. I lived in Boston at the time. And I remember nobody respected me. Respect is earned, not given. I wasn't deserving of respect. And if you're not getting respect right now, it might be because you need to have a little bit more dangerous of a demeanor. It might be because you're not that impactful of an enemy, so you can't be a very good ally. And that was me. I wasn't really dangerous on either side of the coin. And so Ryan respected me about as little as a human could. And I remember one day we're at an event and he looks at me and I'm his boss. And he's like, you got any tattoos? And he's Bostonian, so he has an accent. And I, at the time, did not. I'm like, I do not, Ryan. And he's like, I got one. I'm like, that's cool. I'm excited for you. And he's like, you want to know what it is? I'm like, I feel like you're going to tell me. And he responds, it's a squirrel reaching right up towards my... And I was like, Ryan, what the... Did you just... He goes, my nutsack. You get it? I was like, I do. I, in fact, do get it. Then he proceeds to ask me if I slept with anybody to get this job. And at that point, I'm like, we're backsliding here. This is not working out very well. He also proceeds to not come in with these elaborate stories about why I'm getting in trouble because I got this liability on my hands. And it took me having the balls to do a thing that's not very well lauded on the internet, which is tell somebody they're not a fit for your company. Like if you want to get hated quickly, go tell somebody that was hard for you to fire somebody on the internet. It doesn't go over very well. But the truth of the matter is, if you want to make crazy amounts of money, you're going to have to do something irrationally difficult. Your bank account is a reflection of this, of the difficult decisions that you've made and the difficult conversations that you've had. The more difficult conversations you have, the higher the bank account you will eventually have. So that was my first little lesson. I was like, all right, now I got to figure out how to get somebody here who would actually, who I could be worthy of their respect. And I got to live up to that. So then I'm looking to leave State Street, Boston's amazing place. What up, Bostonians? Tell me if I got any of you guys who listen. But it's cold as fuck. And I'm from Arizona. And so I was so cold. I had lived in like New York and Chicago and Boston. Also highly recommend, if you stay in the place that you were born, it is really hard to change the human who you were. Move often. See who you are. You can always go back, but at some point it's hard to leave. So see what it's like when you uproot your tree. So I was ready to leave Boston because I'm a wuss and it was too cold. And I'm looking for my next role. And so I want to switch into a different part of finance. And for you guys, I don't know if you've ever, like, you want to get to this next level, but like you can't see the bridge between the two. It's too far. Like you're like, how do I get this ladder from where I am to what I want to be? What I want to be is like not reasonable for where I'm at, but I want to get there. And that was me. And that's when I really wanted to break into private equity. And so there's one firm at the time that was doing it really well. They're called Credit Suisse. They're not around as much anymore. But I wanted to work at Credit Suisse and I wanted to run this division there like I was at State Street. And I had to interview it in 3 continents with 12 different people. I had to pay and fly myself out to those locations to get the job. I still remember the way the guy laughed at me when I told him that I went to Arizona State. He thought it was a joke. He was like, because I made the Harvard of the West joke. He goes, oh, you did go to Harvard? I'm like, no, bro, I did go to Arizona State. Yeah. I got 3 degrees. He goes, do all of them combined equal a real one? I was like, this is going well. I think he liked me. I think we're probably going to get hired. Shocking, I don't get the job at Credit Suisse. And I'm actually kind of ticked because at that point, I was really qualified. Like I already had the client list. I spoke multiple languages, English and Spanish. I knew the territory. I was already covering it. And they hire this other person. And I'm like devastated. But inside of the thing that I wanted more than anything else was that line from the Garth Brooks song, which is sometimes you should thank God for unanswered prayers. Because what that led to was me building my very first $1 billion in assets under management business in Latin America. I could have gone and been somebody else's employee, or I could have built my own company. And the reason why, again, a chip on a shoulder so big, it feels bigger than any back pat. So I go to a company called First Trust, which is awesome. And I'm loving it and I'm building like crazy. And then I get divorced. And I'm like, everything's going so good. Total destruction of my life. Lose all my friends, lose my house, lose a bunch of money, feel awful. I'm so embarrassed. We work together at the same firm. That was a real blast. I'm like the only female, not to play the woman card, but it is true. I'm the only female that runs a division there, and all the rest are dudes. So who do you think they like more? Spoiler, not this one. So anyway, they all side with him. I'm still there. It's a total nightmare. And yet I have built this big, huge business where like nothing had been built before. So I was like, you're gonna have to pry this out of my cold, dead fingers. I was like, what do I do? Now I have to like walk away from this huge thing that I built, or I have to like see him every day and kind of get these comments. And I remember like one of them in particular, one of the MDs, I will show it to you. We'll put you, if you see this in the YouTube video, I'll put it up there. I keep it to this day. One of the other, kind of directors like I was, sent me an email real late at night one night. And it just said, you are dumbing down the firm. I'm glad you're happy, but you're ruining the mission that we're on. Something to that effect. You can see the exact words here. You're dumbing down the firm. That's the part that I remember more than anything else. And I remember thinking, motherfucker, like, I'm too tired for this. Like, I'm tired. I'm beat up. It hurts. My heart hurts. I just feel like I'm getting kind of attacked on all sides. And I'm like, I'm just going to give it up. I'm going to leave. And I talked to a couple other people at the firm. They're like, you're crazy. You can't leave. You built this all up. Like, you already lost all this other stuff. You're going to lose this too. So instead, I start dabbling in my side hustles, my little side hobbies. And like, they start growing. And I start like, that's just when I start buying companies. If you know anything about what I do online now, I started buying up these little companies. And I realized whoa, thank God I didn't buy these while I was married because that motherfucker would own part of them. So I was like, that's sick. Okay, now I got these side things that are actually making me a ton of money. That helped because, I'm expensive. And so I was like, I can't leave this firm and not have any money, and I don't want to live on my couch, and I like nice things. And I think they lie to you guys when they say that you have to live on your couch in order to have success. I do not think you have to do that. I think you have to do very hard things, but I don't think you have to go to the point of bankruptcy and breaking and all of that in order to win. And so these things are like making some money. I'm like, this is cool. What a win. If I hadn't gotten divorced, if him and I hadn't gone through that, if all those people at the firm weren't really mean to me, I wouldn't have tried to like get a little safety raft going. Then of course, what happens? I start getting a little notoriety. Like they're covering Codie Sanchez doing this in Latin America. I'm on a magazine cover. That's cool. Well, the CEO comes to me and says, I want to take a walk, which spoiler, you guys, not a great sign ever. So I'm like, oh God, I'm fired. And he takes me on a walk and he basically says, at this company, we get rich quietly, Cody. And I thought, why can't we like get rich together? Why can't we all talk about what we're doing? I totally disagreed with him. He's like, well, listen, I got a boat and on this boat, we're rowing left. And if you want to row right, you got to get your own boat, but you can't stay on mine. And now as a CEO, I understand it. Back then I was like, who do you think you are? But I get it. He's right. Those weren't my chips. That wasn't my boat. He has every right to go the direction that he wants. So I had to leave the company. I basically got pushed out. But you know what that led to? I went to another company. I raised $100 million for that company. And we had a huge fund in an industry that historically didn't. I got 3 new partners. I was no longer a director, which is like a level here. I was a partner, baby. I was like in the game. I was a player. And that was awesome. And we had one fund and it had incredible returns. And then we have another fund and it's doing great. And I think I'm kind of like on high, right? And at each stage of these, you guys, my network stacking up, it goes down a little bit, goes back up higher, goes down a little bit, but even higher. And then at this stage, I do a thing that I really hope you do consistently, which is I tell them, I think we need to take money off the table. We're winning. We're like winning big. And if you learn one thing about money, it should be save some for when it stops shining. You need to have a little cash for a rainy day. And so I was like, man, guys, we're doing so well. We're crushing it. I don't think this is sustainable. I think we better put some cash on the side and move it over. And I remember I was the youngest of the 3. There were 2 ladies at the time, but I was the youngest by far. And they were like, you're out of your mind. Like, this is going to the moon. We're going to crush it. Don't keep talking. We have more experience. We've seen this before. And I push and I push and I push, and they wouldn't listen to me. And so I was pretty upset and I let that be known. And I thought I was right. And then one of my employees calls me and he's, what's up, LJ? If you hear this, LJ's the man. And LJ calls me and he's like, hey, I think they're going to fire you. I was like, they can't fire me. I own part of this place. What do you mean fire me? He's like, they're like digging up, trying to find something on you so that they can push you out because you think that we should do X and you're really pushing for that investment committee. They don't think your vision's aligned with theirs. I'm like, well, first of all, a truth that I've come to agree with, which is when you have something hard to say it to somebody's face. No matter what, you will have more respect for not going around somebody else's back and instead having the cojones, as we would say in Spanish, to say it straight up. So I thanked LJ and then I got invited to a dinner with one of the partners. Now, I'm not very scary. You can see me. But my husband is scary. He is a former Navy SEAL. And not only does he have the scariest of Navy SEAL resting bitch faces, he is also jacked and a pretty big dude and also knows a lot about weapons, like an odd amount about weapons. And everybody knew that at my firm. But I knew the guy that was going to try to pull this one over on me, where he was going to try to sort of strong arm me out of the company at this dinner and try to tell me like, he kind of thought he could intimidate me, I think, which to be fair, you guys, throughout your entire life, there will be people that try to use their intimidation, their aggression, their whatever to make you feel less than. And when that happens, you have to figure out, is this a moment that I hold a wall or am I made of paper? And those moments where you stand up and you realize that you are not made of paper, they're the moments where life really changes. I remember shaking on the way to this dinner. It was actually here in Austin at a hotel, and Chris came with me. And so I was like, here's my plan. He thinks I'm going to come to dinner, just me and him. And he's going to try to, like he usually does, either yell at me or intimidate me or blackmail me. I don't know what's going to happen. And you're going to come, Chris. And you're not going to say anything, except you're just going to sit there and look scary. And then if he doesn't let me talk, like he sometimes doesn't let me talk, you're just going to put your hand on his shoulder and you're going to say, I'm going to need you to let my wife speak. And he's going to be scared. And when I tell you the joy of my life that happened to you guys, when we get to this hotel, we go to stand in there. This gent, who I won't say his name, sees me. I see his eyes flare because he sees Chris too. And then he comes up, oh, hi, hugs, hugs, hugs. And then goes, you know what? I gotta go to the bathroom really quickly. And I peek around the corner and I watch as he gets on the phone. I'm sure to call the other partners and go, oh no, Codie's husband's here. I don't know if this is going to go exactly the way we want to. I don't know if I'm going to be able to strong arm her. I don't know what they actually said. Anyway, we come back out and I lay it on the table. And I'm like, he starts talking about something. And I'm like, my mom has a great line. She says, 99.9% of the time, when I ask you a question, I already know the answer. You have the ability to tell me a truth or a lie here. Your choice. And his face was like, what? And so then I told him, I know that you're trying to push me out of the company. Don't ask me how I know it. I know you're trying to dig up something to make me look like the bad guy. And it's not going to happen. So you have two options. One, you get out of the way and you resign. Or two, you give me a buyout option. But there's no three. So it's one or two. And he's like, well, you can't force that. And I said, I think my attorney can. And so we can choose. That non-paper wall led me to the very first time, you guys, maybe past any point that normal entrepreneurs do it, doing something completely on my own. For 15 years, I had worked for other people. I'd worked with other people. I had done stuff with other people in finance, and I didn't really love the people in finance. And this was the first time that big, scary moment where I almost got pushed out, where he tried to blindside me, turned into me putting up a not paper wall. And if you think it all gets better, the second that you have your own business, I'm going to let you in to a surprise. Having a job is hard. Having a business is hard. Choose your heart. Having a partner is hard. Not having a partner is hard. Choose your hard. Everything is hard. So even though I started then my own company and built that company profitably and grew it a ton and had more success than I'd ever had in my entire life and more freedom than I'd ever had in my entire life, I also had more pain than I'd ever had in my entire life. At one point, I had a partner who wanted to stop working, but wanted to keep part of my main company. The only way that I could get him to stop is I had to pay him $1 million. I had to go through lawsuits and back and forth and gnarly letters until finally I said, I will pay you $1 million to just leave. Just like stop working because you're just in the way of everything. Just get out of here and here's $1 million. So that was my first probably $1 million payout. And so it doesn't get easier as you get bigger, but you do start to build up this armor of no's and can'ts and shoulds until eventually it almost stops bothering you. Eventually, you won't get bothered by the things that bother you today. Like there's some magic that happens the more you get in entrepreneurship. It's like lifting in the gym. In the beginning, maybe 5 pounds, kind of a lot. Then it's 10, then it's 15, then it's 20. Then at some point you cannot even reconcile that 5 pounds used to be enough because you keep having gains and gains and gains. And it is the same thing in the game of success, money, life, and business. The more difficulty you have, the more burden you can carry. I don't ever think it gets easier. You just get better. And so you shouldn't ask for an easier path. You should ask for the ability to shoulder more. Those are what my prayers sound like. It doesn't sound like give me all this money, make it easier for me. It usually sounds like give me the strength and confidence to believe that this is possible for me. Give me the ability to do this task or to learn more intelligently until I can. Please don't give me problems and tasks that I cannot handle right now, but give me the ability to learn how to handle the ones that I do have. And then like at some point, in your life, you will have a moment in which you think you will lose everything you have built. When you're young, you actually don't have much to lose. You have something called ego risk that you could lose, reputational risk that you could lose. But you don't actually have a mortgage and kids and finances and overhead at your company. You don't have all this big, huge risk that's hard to understand when you're young. But eventually you will. I've never met an entrepreneur that hasn't had a moment that almost broke them. And usually the joke when I tell that story is somebody in the crowd will go, "Only one?" Because you're going to have many moments like that. And this was one such moment where I had built the company. I was doing all the things, but I had another member of my company running some of the finances. That person was either inept, incompetent, or fraudulent. And I didn't realize it, but we were a few weeks away from being completely out of money. I am talking about employees that I couldn't pay. I am talking about having to shut it down. I am talking about complete and utter loss and so much fear about what that would look like, especially when you wrap up your identity into what you were, a business owner, a CEO, or whatever. And I was so scared for that to happen. And I remember, I've told this story before, but I remember talking to my dad at that point and saying, what do you do when you don't know where to go? You don't know what to do. You don't know who to talk to next. And he calls that your head in the hands moment, when you're sitting alone on the couch in the dark with no idea what to do next. And he said, you're not in the game if you haven't had that moment. You're not in the game of success if you haven't felt completely lost, if you haven't felt like you were going to lose it all, if you haven't been completely mortified at the idea that you might not make it. If you have, then you're in the game, baby. But if you haven't, then you aren't taking big enough risks. That one little risk, I think without it, all of the companies I have today, all of the opportunity would have never been there, because you cannot have financial success with multiple zeros if you have no system of oversight to make it. Almost losing everything built the foundation to make sure I never do that again. Almost losing everything meant that I understood how to run a real company, not how to have hope, luck, and a prayer. So that thing in front of you at this moment that you think is going to break you might actually be the thing that is going to catapult you to the next level of the game. There's a quote that I love by Austin Butler, and I want to play it for you here.
I was at a party once and I was dancing and they said, embarrassment is an underexplored emotion. Go out there and make a fool of yourself. Go for it. Like, feel that feeling, the fear of cringe.
That's really
go
good.
out there and do it.
The truth of the matter is, you shouldn't be scared about failing. You should be scared about looking back at yourself 10 years from now and thinking, I haven't changed at all. Take the big leap, do the thing, because the only real failure is never actually trying. And it's not just me that says this about failure. Listen to Kobe Bryant, the man himself.
If you fail on Monday, the only way it's a failure on Monday is if you decide to not progress from that, right? So to me, that's why failure is not existent. Because, if I fail today, I'm going to learn something from that failure and I'm going to try again on Tuesday.
What I love about that quote is he's right. He does it for the love of the game, not the win or loss of the game.